way some have, because the guy's caught every game for the last 2.5 years. Can you talk about how difficult that is? And then to put up the numbers that he did at the plate, considering, he caught every game for 2.5 seasons?
Well, I think physically it takes a special kid to be able to play the toughest position on the field in catcher. I mean, it takes a special kid from a physical and a mental standpoint to be able to play catcher. It takes a special kid to be able to play every single game, start every single game behind the plate over the last 2 years like he did. But the thing about Okie is I don't think people quite understand how valuable he was to this program in terms of his leadership and his makeup. He was the straw that stirred the drink, so to speak. He was the guy that everybody looked to when we needed leadership. He was the guy that everybody looked to when it came time to policing our team and getting our guys going in the right direction. He was the guy that we went to as coaches when a message needed to be sent to the team through the leader of the program and the team. So we can't replace him. That's the thing about this team in particular that made it so special, is that Chris Okie was the catalyst. He was the leader of this team. The reason we overachieved was because of a guy like Chris Okie, because we could not have done it without him. If you take Chris Okie off this team and put somebody else behind the plate, we don't win 44 games. I promise you that. So that's the biggest piece that we're going to lose is, do we have somebody in this program who can assume that leadership and keep the chemistry the way it was? And he exemplified all of that. So I think I don't know, you have a special group of players over the course of your time as a coach when it comes to the impact that they had on your program. He's definitely one of those guys.
How does Seth Beer get better in year 2?
Oh, jeez, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I don't know. Maybe we can get him to steal a few bases. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm a really big Seth Beer fan. Just even though I coach him, I watch him a lot more than I coach him, just because he's so special from a talent standpoint. But there are things that he can do to get better. I think the one thing that Seth will have going into the fall is he'll have a full off season of training. We weren't able to give him the type of training that he needs, like most freshmen coming into year one. Our freshmen came into summer school and lifted 5 times a week in summer school throughout the whole summer, trained and got that experience before they even started fall. And then when we got into fall, we lifted 4 times a week as a team. So our guys got all that time to develop and focus on their body to get stronger and put them in the position to be the best player they could be. Seth didn't get any of that. He didn't get the time in the weight room that he needed. So I think going into year 2, the one thing that will really benefit Seth is the strength and conditioning and agility training that he will get next fall. So you put another 15 pounds on him and try to get him faster, work on his foot speed, which is an area that he knows he needs to work on. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing. And I'm also looking forward to seeing him become more of a leader, on our team. I think he has great leadership qualities as a young man, even as a true freshman. But he's going to have to assume more of a leadership responsibility on our team next year because he's the guy that everybody's going to be looking to. So that's the big things that he's got to work on. We're going to move him into the infield. We're going to try him at first base in the fall and see if that's something that can happen for him. On paper, it could make us better potentially if he can play first base. So we're going to move him in there and see if we can turn him into a viable option at first base. And we'll look at all the other parts and see how it fits. And if he can play first base, great. And if we need to move him back to the outfield, we will. But that will be, I would say, as far as him getting better, in the fall. We got to get him faster. We got to get him stronger, and we're going to try to see if first base is an option for him as well.
What will your next couple of months consist of, schedule-wise for you?
Well, the first thing that we're all focusing on right now is the draft and how it impacts us. That's going to be the big thing. We've got a couple guys that could go tonight, so we're going to be watching and waiting to see how the domino effect starts based on that. Whether we wind up getting a guy or two into school, or whether we lose them to the draft, and how that affects us. So that's the big priority right now. Is we gotta get through the next 3 days of the draft and let the dust settle from there. Once we get through that, my focus is on recruiting. I mean, that's our focus for the summer is trying to make sure that as a coaching staff we do everything we can to recruit the best players with the best makeup and toughness that we can to make sure that we can make the type of run that we want to make throughout the regular season and the postseason.